Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight we are going to continue reading Animorphs number 10, The Android by K.A. Applegate. And as always, this video is not intended for kids. This video is intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the joy that is Animorphs. And I hope you're all having a lovely Monday evening or whenever you're watching this. So, let's get started. Yeah. Okay, it's getting a little slow to start up today, so that's a very good sign. He didn't smell. I said, "What do you mean he didn't smell?" Rachel demanded. I mean that he didn't smell. He had picked up some odors off other people, off the ground, off dogs, whatever, but he had no smell himself. None. Like a black hole of smell. Like nothing there. Nobody home. It was later that same evening. Jake and I had left the concert shortly after encountering Erek. We'd called a meeting, and now everyone except Axe was in Cassie's barn. Cassie's barn is actually the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. It's a sort of hospital for messed up wild animals. Cassie's parents are both veterinarians. Her mom works at the Gardens, this big combination zoo and amusement park. Her dad, with a lot of help from Cassie, takes in every sick or injured wild animal they come across. The barn is lined with wire cages filled with raccoons, foxes, opossums, eagles, rabbits, geese, badgers, crows, squirrels. I mean, you name it. It's Animal Central. Maybe you just didn't notice it, Rachel suggested. Rachel, you've been in Wolfmorph, Jake said. You know how good your sense of smell is? Well, the dog's sense of smell is almost that good. Rachel shook her head. That's what she does when she's frustrated. She was standing in the middle of the barn floor, looking immaculate, as always. Okay, sorry, I screwed that line up there. I was getting into my whole Rachel Marco shipper mode. So, sorry. Lost my train of thought there. Okay, anyways. She was standing in the middle of the barn floor, looking immaculate, as usual. Rachel is one of those girls from the cover of 17. Beautiful, fashionable, way too tall. Far too many bright white teeth, massive quantities of very clean blonde hair. But beneath all that fashionable clothing and perfectly applied makeup, there's a sword swinging Amazon warrior just trying to break out. Rachel's like one of those terrible elf maidens in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Beautiful and dangerous. Jake is her cousin, and Cassie is her best friend. Cassie actually experiences normal human emotions like fear and doubt. I approve of this because I sure experience plenty of fear and doubt myself. I've experienced more fear and doubt since I became an Animorph than most people experience in about 10 lifetimes. Cassie has never met a dress she liked. She does not subscribe to Teen or YM. She's much more likely to buy a magazine like Smelly Animals of America. You know, the kind of magazine that would have articles like How to Give Suppositories to Raccoons or Let's Examine Owl Vomit. If you want to picture Cassie, think of a short, cute girl with very short black hair, wearing overalls and big, muddy boots, and looking totally capable of giving a tetanus shot to an angry bear. Cassie is our animal expert and our resident ecology nut. I'd say she likes animals better than she likes people, except that she really likes Jake. As in likes. Actually, she and Jake like each other. Although neither of them will admit it, of course. The only time they'll act that way is when we're about 12 seconds away from doing something insanely dangerous. Then they'll kind of give each other these pathetic, sad looks. It's so lame. The last original member of our group was perched in the high rafters overhead. Tobias had his talons sunk deep into the wood to give himself a firm hold. And with his hooked beak, he was preening the feathers of his right wing. Tobias is a red-tailed hawk. That's what he's been since he stayed too long in Morph. He lives as a hawk now, mostly. I mean, he hunts and eats like a hawk. Not that he has much choice. I don't think the school is really interested in a hawk boy as a student. Tobias lives in the woods, along with Axe. Axe is an Andalite, the brother of Alfangor, and the only free Andalite within a billion miles of Earth. Axe doesn't come to the meetings, usually. He has a human morph, but he doesn't like to overuse it. Besides, he basically figures Jake is his prince, and he'll do whatever his prince tells him has to be done. So, that's our little group. Rachel standing in the middle of the room, looking like someone was shining a spotlight on her. Jake pacing back and forth and looking far too intense. Cassie cradling a duck in her arms while she changed its bandage. Tobias preening his feathers and looking around with that eternal hawk glare. And me lolling back on a bale of hay. Shh! Jake said suddenly. I thought I heard something. It's just a squirrel up on the roof, Tobias assured him in thought speak. You sure? Jake asked. Tobias stopped preening and stared down at Jake. His hawk stare grew even more intense. Am I sure? I do know what a squirrel sounds like. Jake nodded and looked a little embarrassed. Hawks not only have amazingly good eyes, their hearing is better than a human's too. And Tobias knows the sounds that prey make. He has to. Asking Tobias if he recognizes squirrel sounds would be like asking Einstein if he knows how to add 2 plus 2. I tried to bring us all back to the topic. So, what does it mean if a kid doesn't smell like a human? There are plenty of times when you don't smell human, Rachel said with a smirk. But then maybe that's because you have a small monkey living on top of your head. Cassie made a snorking sound as she tried not to laugh. Next time you decide to get a haircut, talk to me first, Rachel said. I ignored them both. We had important business, and I was not going to lower myself to trade insults with Rachel. Besides, I couldn't think of any. He doesn't smell, and he's handing out flyers for the sharing, I said. He must be connected to the Erks, Rachel said with a shrug. But how? Cassie asked. She was pushing the duck back into his cage. I mean, Yerks infest various species. Humans, Hork-Bajir, taxons. But that doesn't change the fact that a human with a Yerk in his head should still smell like a human. You know? Chapman is a controller. He still smells human, I pointed out. And, by the way, I can't believe I'm even talking about how the vice principal smells. Jake shrugged. I guess we need to find out what's going on with Erek. But how do we find him? I asked. Infiltrate a meeting of the sharing? I could do surveillance of his school, Tobias said. Or maybe we could go back to where the concert was and look for clues, Rachel said. Then she winced. Wow, that sounded so Nancy Drew. Maybe Axe can try and tap into the internet and get past all the security buffers and locate him, I suggested. Cassie held up her hand like she was asking a question at school. Those are all fine plans, but how about if we just look him up in the phone book? We all just stared at her. Or we could just look him up in the phone book, Jake said sheepishly. Cassie headed for the house to get a phone book. You know, she is just not getting the whole superhero thing, I said to Jake. Does Wolverine look things up in the phone book? Does Spider-Man? I don't think so. Yeah, well, Wolverine has a big advantage over us, Rachel said dryly. He's not real. Then she snapped her fingers. That's what that hair of yours reminds me of. A Wolverine! I knew it was something. Oh, yeah? I shot back. Well, how about my what? Rachel asked coolly, with the absolute confidence of a girl who never looked less than perfect. Your tallness, I said lamely. You're tall. Way tall. Somehow, this brilliant comeback did not cause Rachel to break down in tears. Cassie came back carrying the white pages already open to the case. There are 27 kings listed, but you said you transferred to Truman, so there are maybe 6 kings that are in that part of town. We work our way down the list, I said, although he still could have an unlisted phone. I can't hang out tonight, Jake said. I have got to write that English paper. Here's a clue on the English paper. Don't say I have got to, I teased. I could go tomorrow, maybe, Rachel said. But not tonight. My dad is in town just for tonight. He's taking me and my sisters to Planet Hollywood. Cassie looked at me. I'm free, she said. I'm good till it gets dark, Tobias volunteered. Hawks aren't much use at night. Fine, me and Cassie and Tobias till it gets dark, I said. Shouldn't be too hard. Our mission, to find the boy who doesn't smell. Maybe he just showers a lot, Rachel said. Did you think about that? And that's the end of that chapter. Oh, God. Sorry, my nose, like, near the end was just, like, itching. Like, my nose itched, and yeah. It's really great when I'm doing dramatic reading. It's like, that's when the nose decides it really wants to itch. And I promise you, the moment I stop filming, my nose will miraculously stop itching. Oh, God, it's horrible. I think it sort of helped me not read a few parts as good as I probably should have. And I did bring up earlier that, oh yeah, I ship Rachel Marco. I also ship Rachel and Tobias. I am a big multi-shipper. I also ship Marco Tobias and Marco Tobias Rachel. So I generally like to keep all my shipping preferences free from whenever I'm discussing anything, because I have so many ships. I have armadas on top of armadas. So anyways, this chapter again sort of made me feel old, because Cassie goes, hey, how about we get the phone book? Yeah, the phone book's an ancient artifact, and kids, anyone reading this book today, like, that was born after a certain point in time, will just be going, Mommy, what's a phone book? Or, they might be in college and you're calling the mom up, they're going, hey, Mom, what's a phone book? We don't really use phone books anymore. Heck, I remember memorizing phone numbers. And I used to think, oh, it'd be so silly if you didn't remember certain phone numbers. Now I generally forget more than... I don't think I've remembered any phone numbers since I could just do the phone book in my cell phone. God, phone books. Oldness. Let's see. And with Marco, I feel bad for him still. Like, he let this friendship with Erek drift off for so long, and now when Erek comes back into his life again, it's, oh, he might not be human. What's going on? Oh no. So it's like, yeah, this is really not how you want to do a friendly reunion with someone after the years. It's just saying, hey, let's meet up. Oh yeah, not human. So I can't really think of anything to talk about right now, except, maybe scratching my nose. So anyways, the question for tonight is going to be, let's see, what's a good question? Okay, if you were in Marco's shoes, trying to come up with comebacks to throw at Rachel, what would they be? What would your approach to successfully insulting Rachel be? Comment down below. Also comment below with anything you noticed about this chapter. The good, the bad, the ugly. And, you need to remember, no major spoilers. I'm hoping that people discovered Animorphs via these videos, so there's some big twists and turns coming up. That shouldn't be spoiled, so please remember that. And if you're watching this on the YouTubes, please like this video to mess with the YouTube algorithm so it'll be more likely that people will view this video. Also, remember to subscribe because I am going to be reading the entire Animorphs series, so you don't want to miss a thing. And let's see. Oh yeah, if you're viewing this on my bloggity blog and the desktop version of my bloggity blog, please choose the followed by email option so you'll never miss out on anything ever again. I am nearly done with my latest long post, which will be a Game of Thrones related post, so you won't want to miss that. Nearly done writing, then there's editing, and then yay! And I hope you're all having a safe Monday, Tuesday, whenever you're watching this. And until next video, goodbye. Damn. Come on, end stream, end. Yay!